No one in Hollywood expected the news to break the way it did. A quiet afternoon, a simple interview, and then, like a lightning strike, Chris Martin confirmed something that shattered the heart of a woman who once believed she was part of his future. He wasn't just dating someone else. He was engaged. And not to Dakota Johnson, but to Sophie Turner. The shock echoed through every corner of the industry. But nowhere did it hit harder than inside the studio where Dakota had been filming just minutes before the announcement exploded across social media. When the alert popped up on a crew member's phone, whispers spread like wildfire. The atmosphere shifted, first curiosity, then disbelief, then a suffocating silence. People exchanged looks, unsure who would be the one to tell Dakota, or if she already knew. She didn't. Dakota stepped out of her trailer smiling lightly, ready for the next scene, unaware that her world had just split in half. Her hair was still styled from makeup, her script tucked under her arm. But then she noticed the expressions around her, faces tight, eyes sympathetic, avoiding direct contact. A production assistant approached her gently, almost trembling. "Dakota, there's something you should see." And when the headline came into view on the phone screen, everything froze. Chris Martin confirms engagement to Sophie Turner. Dakota's breath hitched. Her hand instinctively flew to her mouth. Her eyes filled so fast that she couldn't blink the tears away. For a moment, she stood completely still, staring at the words as if they couldn't possibly be real. The world around her blurred, voices muffled, footsteps softened, lights dimmed. Then her chest rose sharply, like the first sign she was about to break. She handed the phone back with shaking fingers. I need a minute," she whispered. But she didn't walk, she fled. Paparazzi waiting outside the lot caught the moment she emerged. Dakota pulled her jacket over her face, but her red eyes and trembling lips still betrayed the truth. This wasn't shock, this was devastation. A photographer later said, "She looked like someone who just had the ground ripped out from under her." Inside the studio, people exchanged quiet, horrified whispers. She didn't know. Oh God, she really didn't know. He told the world before he told her. For years, Dakota and Chris had been partners in every way except paperwork. They lived together, they traveled together, they met each other's families. Dakota once visited Chris on tour for weeks at a time. She used to hold his hand backstage, whispering encouragement into his ear before he walked out to thousands of fans. Everyone assumed marriage was inevitable. Even Dakota did. Rumors suggested they talked about the future often: kids, a home outside Los Angeles, a quieter life when they both felt ready. Chris always said, "Not yet," assuring her the timing just wasn't right. Dakota trusted him. She waited. She believed him. What she didn't know was that while she was waiting, he was changing. Sophie Turner entered his life at a moment when both were healing from painful uncertainties. Their connection grew quickly, quietly, intensely. And Dakota, busy filming, juggling projects, navigating her own insecurities, didn't see the shift happening until it was far too late. But even then, she didn't expect this. Not an engagement. Not so soon. Not like this. Not announced publicly before she could even process the loss privately. A close friend later revealed. She broke the second she realized he hadn't even told her. She kept asking, "Why didn't he talk to me? Why didn't he say anything?" That question haunted her. Dakota found a quiet corner near the back of the studio, leaning against a wall as her body trembled uncontrollably. She pressed her hands to her face, trying to hold herself together, but the sobs came anyway, raw, shaking, unstoppable. She wasn't crying because she lost Chris. She was crying because she didn't know she'd already lost him. And in that moment of collapse, with mascara streaking her cheeks and the weight of betrayal crushing her, one thought repeated in her mind. How could he move on so quickly? How could he choose someone else? How could he start a new life, without even saying goodbye? The people around her didn't know what to do. A makeup artist tried to approach but stopped when she saw Dakota sink to the floor, her knees pulled to her chest, her breathing shallow like she couldn't get enough air. Someone whispered, "She's heartbroken. This is more than a breakup. This is a betrayal." But the question everyone whispered after the cameras stopped rolling, after Dakota's sobs quieted, after her friends rushed to comfort her was this: when the man you love becomes the man who blindsides you, who helps you pick up the pieces? The answer was someone no one expected. Dakota stayed on the studio floor longer than anyone expected. Her hands trembled against her knees, her breathing uneven, her usually calm expression replaced with a grief so palpable that the entire room felt it with her. A few brave coworkers approached, but she lifted a shaky hand, wordlessly asking for a moment alone. She didn't trust her voice. She didn't trust herself not to collapse even further. She wiped her face, smearing mascara across her cheeks, and forced herself to stand. The world blurred for a moment, her knees weak, her chest tight. She reached for the wall to steady herself just as someone quietly stepped into the hallway. Jamie Dornan. He wasn't there as part of the production. He had simply stopped by to visit a friend working on the same lot. But when he saw Dakota, her eyes swollen, her breaths trembling, her whole body shaking, he froze, instantly understanding this was not the Dakota he knew. He walked toward her slowly, cautiously, as though approaching someone wounded. "Dakota?" His voice was soft, barely above a whisper. She turned her head slightly, enough for him to see the truth written across her face. And the moment he did, something inside him cracked too. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't need to. He had already seen the headlines. "Come here," he said gently. And for the first time since the news broke, Dakota let herself lean on someone. Jamie wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pulling her into a steady, grounding embrace. She didn't sob this time. She didn't collapse. She simply stood there in silence, her forehead resting against his chest, trying to breathe. People walking past pretended not to stare. But they all knew. Dakota needed someone who wouldn't speak, wouldn't judge, wouldn't dissect her pain. Just someone who understood what it felt like to be broken in front of the world. Jamie knew that feeling better than anyone. After a long moment, Dakota whispered through a raw throat, "He didn't even tell me. He let the world find out before I did." Jamie closed his eyes, his jaw tightening with quiet anger. Not at her, not even at Chris, but at the cruelty of the situation. "I'm so sorry," he murmured. "I'm so sorry." Dakota swallowed hard, stepping back slightly. "I thought we were still something. Maybe not in a perfect place, but not like this. Not over." "Some people don't know how to give closure," Jamie said. "And some don't realize the damage they leave behind." She let out a soft, broken laugh. "It's humiliating. He moved on with someone else so quickly. A month ago, he told me he needed space to think. And now he's engaged." "Engaged, Jamie." Her voice rose for the first time, quiet but filled with disbelief that bordered on devastation. Jamie hesitated a moment, then answered honestly, "That's not moving on. That's running." Dakota looked at him, tears pooling again. "So why do I feel like I'm the one who wasn't enough?" Jamie stepped closer, his tone steady, unwavering. "Because you love deeply. And when people who love deeply get hurt, they blame themselves first. But listen to me. Chris's choices are not a reflection of your worth." She held his gaze, vulnerable, searching for truth in his eyes. Jamie continued, softer now, "If he couldn't see what he had, that's on him. Not you." For a split second, Dakota seemed to break again, but this time not into hopelessness, but into silent acknowledgement of a truth she had tried to avoid. She wiped her tears again, her voice barely audible. "I don't know how to start over." Jamie let out a quiet breath. "You don't need to start over today. You just need to get through today." A silence settled between them, gentle, not suffocating. It felt like the beginning of healing, even if the wound was still raw. But the world outside wasn't ready to give her peace. News outlets began publishing exclusive details. Photos of Chris and Sophie together. Engagement rings. Quotes from anonymous sources. And soon, the narrative twisted even further. Dakota Johnson, shocked and emotional, after learning through the media. Sophie Turner responds to engagement backlash. The stories reopened Dakota's pain again and again. Late that night, after returning home and shutting out the world, Dakota stared at her reflection, red eyes, trembling lips, a face she barely recognized. Her phone lit up with a new message. From Chris. She hesitated, breath caught. The text was short. "I'm sorry you had to hear it that way. We can talk if you want." Her hands shook with anger, confusion, heartbreak. Talk? Now he wanted to talk? After blindsiding her in front of the entire world? She closed her eyes, letting the rage and the sorrow mix into something dark and heavy. She thought of the years they spent together. The promises, the plans, the private jokes, the quiet mornings, the trust. All shattered by one headline. Dakota put her phone down. She didn't reply. Not tonight. Instead, she whispered to herself, voice trembling. Why wasn't I worth honesty? She didn't know that someone else, not Chris, not Sophie, not the press, would be the one to answer that question soon. And his answer would change everything.